But let's move on to rugby league. And honestly, guys, just our opinion, which I'm prepared for. The Dolphins preview for 2024. So last year they finished 13th, was it? Yes, we're up to 13th. I should really note that down.
Yes, they did finish 13th last year. And for a team in their first season, if you don't come last, you get a pass mark.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously Wayne Bennett is their inaugural coach. This will be his second year. They do have some gains and losses, which losses is weird to me. They've lost Herman Esiesi to All FC.
And Brenko Lee?
Yeah, he was released. Pawasa Famusili to the Bulldogs. Oliver Gildart to All Kingston Rovers. But they have gained Jake Avarillo, so a lot of strike. What they've gained is strike.
Yeah.
So Jake Avarillo, Herbie Farmworth, Tom Flegler, and Oren Keeley. That strike is
very, very impressive.
Yeah, Jake Avarillo was the second highest try scorer for the Bulldogs, right?
In the last couple of seasons, he's been their number 2 try scorer behind Adokar.
Yeah. So this will be the second year with St. Wayne.
Yeah, so John, I was reading yesterday that Wayne is going to finish up coaching the Dolphins at the end of the year and hand over to Christian Wolf.
Yeah. That was always the plan, 2 years.
Okay.
Because it's a setup. Because I went back to Wayne Bennett's life. Wayne Bennett has coached for 3 clubs across 4 changes, right? So 1998 he started Brisbane. He was the inaugural coach there. So the second year, this is the second year, they went from 6th to 7th, actually.
Yeah.
6th from 7th, so they went up. They were 7th in their inaugural year, 6th in their second. And remember, that was the time of top 5, so 1998. Yeah, 1998. And then the next year they made the finals. When he took the Dragons over, Dragons were a bit of a basket case. Nathan Brown, they were the world's biggest chokers. Mm-hmm. Won a premiership in the first year, and then second year won a premiership. Mm-hmm. When he took over the Knights, I'm amazed that they didn't win a whole bunch of wooden spoons with all the stuff that was going on in the back office. But in his first year, they were 7th. In his second, they went down to 11th. Then he went back to the Broncos because the Knights basically collapsed. His first year, Broncos were 6th. His first year, they were 2nd. Second year, they were 6th. Mm-hmm. And then he went to the Rabbitohs, and they went from 4th to 6th. They went down. So second year, for all of his clubs except for the original Broncos, his teams actually went worse.
Okay. John, I think with those additions that they've made, I think they're going to go better with Farnworth, Flegler, and Avarillo.
Yeah.
John, I've got them finishing 9th.
Yeah, so that was the thing. So in all of the teams he took over, they went worse. But the one time he's built a foundation club, started a club, he's a foundation coach, they went up. So they got better. So the Broncos went to 6th from 7th in his second year, but the other 3 teams, Knights, Broncos, and Rabbitohs, all went down. So I know it's like, he wasn't a rookie coach when he went to Brisbane. He'd come from Canberra and stuff like that. So if you want to take something about how the Dolphins should go and you want to use some kind of statistics to weight it solely, in theory, based on Wayne Bennett's history of taking over clubs, the Dolphins should go up because it's a second year of a new team. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just weird, John, because I read some conflicting reports on it. I read one report that said Bennett was going to go through until the end of 2025, but then I've read another one that says, no, this is his last year, then he's handing over to Christian Wolf.
I thought the third year he's going to be like director of football or something like that.
So I'm pretty sure, John, that 2024 is going to be his last season. And he's going to hand over to Christian Wolf.
But I think he's still going to be hanging around. I know you do have a starting 17 because, to be honest, I couldn't put together one because of the depth.
Okay, so I've got one, John. Do you want me to read through it? I've been doing it for these teams we've been going through. So this is my predicted round 1 team. So I've got Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow at fullback. I've got Jermaine Asako, who had that great season, leading try scorer and point scorer in the NRL last year.
Yeah.
He's on one wing. Jack Bostock is on the other wing. Jake Avarillo and Herbie Farnworth, the 2 new recruits, I've got them partnering one another in the centres. I've got Cody Nikorima and Sean O'Sullivan in the halves.
Mm-hmm.
The front row, you got Jesse Bromwich and that other very star recruit, Tom Flegler, in the front row. Jeremy Marshall-King as the dummy half. The back row, I've got Felice Kafusi and Kenny Bromwich, and I've got Tom Gilbert at lock. I've got Ray Stone, Jared Wallace, Connolly, Lemu, Elu, and Mark Nichols on the bench.
Jared Wallace, who famously got knocked unconscious by somebody in boxing. So this was the thing, because there's a lot of people on the internet that have Herbie Farmworth going to fullback because he's on fullback money, they say, right? I don't know if he can play fullback, but they've also got Jake Averillo who can play fullback, and they've got Tabui Fido who did play there last year and can also play fullback. Now, when you've got those three guys, Averillo, Farmworth, and Tabui Fido, who can play fullback, I mean, I could get 17 of their best players when I was trying to get together a team, but I couldn't place them anywhere because
it wasn't easy.
Their team, like, even like Jared Wallace on the bench, he could go into the starting front row. You know, like they have a pretty good team, to be honest. Yeah. Actually, like not a superstar amazing team full of like what's his name, Nathan Cleary's and stuff like that, but they have enough players that it's like a little bit of a struggle. They're going to have a lot of people fighting for. They got to
see what for a second year team, a second year club. That's not a bad 17.
Yeah, exactly.
And John, as I say, I think they finished 13th last season. As we said, I think they're moving up to 9th. If you want me to give my prediction of where they're going to finish.
So there's some other things, right? They also have Anthony Milford playing there, who's never lived up to his expectation. Nathan Feen was on the radio this morning talking about Anthony Milford, saying this is actually his last chance. He's saying Nathan Feen is the assistant coach. He's training the house down. He's going to do really well this year. He didn't play 6 very much last year, but he could very well be the first choice 6 this year. And Anthony Milford's always been a, guy that should be better than he plays. Yeah, he's like the Nick Kyrgios of rugby league.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, since that, he had a really good season when the Broncos made that grand final in 2015 and heartbreakingly lost it. We all know how they lost it, John. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Milford was really good that season, and John, to be honest, he really hasn't done much since, and that's 9 years ago.
Yeah, but so he played Origin in 2017, 2018. Like, this is an Origin player in a Queensland team, 2017, 2018, which tail end of their success. They're still better than us right now. But
it was the tail end of their 11 out of 12 run, John.
And so there's other players in their team that can come in and be that X factor. So yeah, they've got a massive amount of depth, which is a huge change from last year. I think that's what they've done. They've bought a whole bunch of players that can play a few spots in the back line, in the forwards, in the starting, in the props, on the bench and off, who will be pushing for spots. Last year they won their first 6.
So I've got it here, John. They won their first 3 games.
First 3, sorry,
year.
yeah.
But from round 14 onwards last year, they only won 2 of 12 games. So
yeah, because they had no depth.
They had injuries and they had no depth.
They had zero depth, right? And this year they definitely have depth. Their whole top 30 squad is basically they can almost put together 2 starting lineups. Their draw is pretty harsh. Okay, they 12 times this year they play 2023 top 8 teams, and 7 times they play top 4. So they have 2 matches against the Broncos, Storm, Warriors, Knights, Titans, Cowboys, Dragons, Tigers. Dragons, obviously, easy run. Tigers, we would think would be an easy run. Cowboys can go either way. Titans, we didn't have finishing.
Not a bad run, John.
Yeah, but Broncos, Storm, Warriors is hardcore. Their 3 Origin matches are scheduled where any rep players will be actually out of the games. Okay, so they will be missing players in Origin. Their buys are all in the first 18 rounds, and 7 of their first 11 games are in Queensland, either at Suncorp or KO Stadium. They do have the longest travel out of any club. So they have longest distance to travel for the season because they have 4 matches with long travel times.
So they're doing
as
more
the
Ks
away,
than anyone
they have
else,
the away games. They have away games for Darwin, Auckland, Bundaberg, and Perth.
Okay.
For whoever they're playing in those. Like, some of those teams are going and playing home games there. Unfortunately for the Dolphins, they've been suckered to all of them. They do have a mix across the days throughout the year. 3 Thursday games, 4 Friday games, 8 and 9 Saturday and Sunday. 17 games with 7+ day turnarounds. So even though they do have to travel a lot, they do have a lot of rest days.
So I think that's the same as, I think it was at the Titans we did.
Titans as well, 17.
I think that's the exact same as the Titans.
Yeah.
17 games with 7+ day turnarounds.
Now, their first 6 matches are all in Queensland. So it's Cowboys at home. Suncorp will be their home. Dragons at home at Redcliffe. Titans away at the Gold Coast. Tigers at home at Suncorp. And Broncos away at Suncorp with a bye on their third round. Right, so they have a pretty good home ground advantage, but they are playing all 3 Queensland derbies.
I think that those 7+ day turnarounds for the Dolphins and the Titans, that just says to me that I know that Channel 9 have the games Thursday, Friday, and I know they got one on Sunday. But that sort of says to me that because Channel 9 are brushing them on Thursday and Friday, they're getting all these Saturday, Sunday games, and that's giving them the longer turnaround.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's going to help a lot, especially with the travel, right? So they'll have the longer turnarounds. They do have... So all their buys are spread over the first 18 rounds, so they only have 8 rounds without a bye, which is also good, much better than the Titans, who have the earliest usage of their buys.
I've got... Sorry, Don. I've got some injury news for the Dolphins. We've got a few players with a few issues. Connolly Lemu-Elu, he's battling a knee injury. They're hoping that he'll be right for round 1, but that might be touch and go. Ray Stone's got a toe injury, but we think he won't miss any season proper matches. He's expected to be back for the pre-season challenge. Otherwise known as the trial games, and same with Jeremy Marshall-King. He's got a shoulder injury, but we think he'll be right. If they want to play him in the pre-season challenge, that he'll be fit for that. So not really much to speak of on the injury front.
So even the Jeremy Marshall-King one is their worst one, but they have cover for it. So even if it did go longer, I feel like
he's not even going to miss any season proper games, John.
So they've got a good draw. To summarise, they've got a pretty good draw. Like, it's harsh. They have to play a lot of those big guys. They got a good draw. They got a good timetable for their draw. They do have to travel a lot. So, if they're horses, they'd have a lot of, what was it? A lot of distance in their legs. Which can be a good thing, according to for the Melbourne Cup. Yeah. They do have to travel a lot. They're spending a lot of time in Queensland, though, as well. And they have probably at this point the best, like, most consistent team in the NRL. Actually, like, every other team has a whole bunch of superstars and a whole bunch of, like, average players. I don't know when average became an insult, but anyway, average players, as opposed to having, like, the Dolphins don't have that. They just have, like I said, it's hard to put together a 17 because of the players you leave out, and you just go, we could just put another 13 together.
Yeah, wasn't easy, John.
Yeah. So what did you have them finishing at?
Yeah, so John, I've got them 9th. I think they'll go close to making the 8, but they won't quite get there. I think I really like Farnworth, Avarillo, and Flegler being added, and they haven't lost much on the recruitment front. So you basically added 3 really good players to a team that, for a first-year team, did okay last year. So I've got them moving up from 13th to 9th.
I actually have them at 9th as well.
Okay, we're in agreement on that one.
So I think it's going to be like last year. There'll be one team that misses out, and it's going to be the Dolphins. Just their biggest blockage to finishing higher for me was that them having to play Broncos, Storm, Warriors, and possibly the Knights all twice. The Broncos, Storm, Warriors is, like, basically, to me, for the Dolphins, that's 6 losses. Definitely 6 losses, so...
I hope they go well, John. It'd be good for the game if they go well.
Definitely.
I'd like to see them make the 8, to be honest, but I don't think they'll quite get there.
No, it's too much too early. Yeah, so that's, honestly, guys, just our opinion. Our ladder is coming together very well. We still don't have any top 8 teams. So we're
working our way up the ladder. I think we've done, was it 4?
We've done 5,
teams so far? 5 teams,
We've basically saying that the teams that missed out on the 8 so far this year, last year, will also miss out on the 8 this year. So sorry to all those fans, but yeah.